What's going on, everybody? You know who it is. This is Austin, and this is the Austin Smith Real Estate Podcast, where we talk about real estate and we talk about lifestyle. Today's show is a pretty interesting, especially for my local guests and my local audience in New Jersey. And a lot of people kind of have an idea, but they don't really understand fully what's going on in areas such as Newark and East Orange, which word through the grapevine, and as you can probably see, these areas are rich. They are hot with investment opportunity. There are a ton of investors coming over from New York, and they're coming right into these areas and taking advantage of what these two particular cities have to offer. And that's kind of what we talk about, and kind of where, what pockets in these cities are great for first-time investors as well as those who have already gotten their business up and running. So this episode will be great. Can't wait to go and start it. Before we jump into today's show, a little bit of housekeeping. If you or anybody that you know has benefited by listening to the Austin Smith Real Estate Podcast, please leave me a rating and review on iTunes. I would greatly appreciate that as we continue to share this message. And if you happen to know anyone or a guest that can benefit by coming on to the Austin Smith Real Estate Podcast, please let me know. Guy, gal, does not matter. Let's get them on the show. Let's continue to share the sugar. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get into the show. What's going on, everybody? Today on the show, we got a serial real estate entrepreneur on today's episode. And kind of one of the topics that I wanted to bring to you as the listeners is, what's going on in Newark and East Orange. Obviously, a lot of people have an idea that there is a lot of investment activity that's going on within between these two cities. And I had to bring on an individual who is killing it in the game, especially on the investment side in these two cities. This individual is the CEO of the Cham Group, which is a real estate team from Coldwell Banker. He is the CEO of his own property management company. He's a real estate investor, developer. He's done flips. He's done rehabs. He owns 7 multifamilies himself. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Irving Cham. Irving, thank you for taking the time to come on the show, brother.
Oh, Mr. Smith, a.k.a. the man, the myth, the legend. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Thank you so much, man. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
I appreciate
Thank you so much.
Man. Thank you so much. And I know you've shown a lot of support just of, me reaching out and, being a newer agent, and you've been in the game, for a solid tenure, and just reaching that hand back to support those that are looking to make the come up, that are looking to level up in their business the same way you have somebody that's doing that for you. So I greatly appreciate it. We'll dive right up in here. Okay, so we all know, and a lot of people, a lot of our listeners, a lot of the people that I'm pretty sure, have either texted you, reach out to you about investing opportunities. They kind of have some people have a solid edge on what's going on. And some individuals, know it from a 50,000 foot view, but they don't know where to take that next step. So real quick, even before we jump into that, just give us an idea how you got started, the man behind the machine. How did you establish yourself into the professional and the real estate entrepreneur that you are today?
Man, honestly speaking, I do everything through God's grace and his mercy. So first and foremost, I'm going to give a shout out to him. Without him, I wouldn't be here. So I can honestly say that. Outside of that, it's just my drive. I've always had a passion for construction, always had a passion for real estate. Even as young, I was using Legos, trying to build stuff, drawing homes. As a teenager, adolescent, I was working on my parents' basement, watching my uncle work on houses and stuff like that. So I developed a crazy passion for just the construction and ability to use my hands to build something. So it's something that's deeply rooted, and I don't think it'll ever go anywhere. I'm in this real estate game, and I'm here to stay because this is what I love. So
Now, did you before your career like in real estate, did you have, were you going into something that had a sales background, or was real estate that first opportunity to really crack that open as far as the entrepreneurship aspect of it?
Well, before real estate, I worked at a bank. I worked at Bank of America for a couple of years, and that helped me understand the financial piece of it because we did like mortgage services and stuff like that. So I was able to understand that aspect of the real estate, and then I left there because that's not what I really wanted to do. And then I started a property management company with my friends and family, and from there we just we blew up.
That's awesome. We'll touch base on the property management, later. We'll touch on the property management later, just in case there's any individuals, because I've thought about
Yeah.
it, thought about property management, but it's always that's something that's been in the back pocket. So I want to pick your brain on that. But in
Okay.
between, getting into the meat of this, and the clients that I work with, and I work with a lot of investors and off-market deals, retail market, but I always come across your name more often than not on some multifamily that's available that one of my clients want to go check out. Like, so you're heavy in the East Orange and Newark areas, and I
Yeah.
kind of want to pick your brain on your thoughts. What are you seeing? That's emerging from these two markets. So we'll start like this. For someone who is a new investor, because we can easily go into the big development firms and going downtown and things like that. But for an individual that's just looking to get started and they had an idea that Newark and East Orange were investment opportunities, what's the first step someone should take as far as identifying a location to invest in? Is there areas that kind of stick out to you that are better than others?
I would say, Newark in a whole is pretty decent, and so is East Orange, but there are areas that specifically, like, people desire more. I would look to, if you're an investor or you're looking to kind of start investing in some way, shape, or form, I would say look to wherever there's transportation. Anything else with transportation, where you're going downtown Newark and you can get to New York City within 20, 30 minutes, that's where it's going to be hot. Those are the markets that's always jumping, that's always hot. You got the part of Newark, like the Forest Hill section, the North Newark section, is on fire because it's literally like 10 minutes from downtown Newark. And it still offers you, it's the city, but you still have that, suburbia feel to certain areas, like the Forest Hill section in Newark. Then you have East Orange. East Orange is hot because you have the train line down there. And you have the presidential section of East Orange, which is hot because it's another residential area, but it offers like the ability to go in and out of the city. So in my eyes, those are the hotter areas in East Orange.
And it's interesting that you mentioned, like that still that suburban feel. Because for me, with my particular multifamilies, I love Upper Vailsburg section, and because you'll get that for the development side, and being next to the train line, completely understand. And that's why for Upper Vailsburg, I love the suburban feel.
Yeah, we have a couple of properties in Upper Vailsburg. Upper Vailsburg offers you first as an investment property. It's a great place to be because you have Seton Hall University that's not too far away. So that means that if you market, like let's just say you get a multifamily, you're marketing to potential college students as as your tenants. You'll always your vacancy rate would be super low for the simple fact that while school's in session, you'll always have someone there. Then, while in the Upper Vailsburg section is still close enough to South Orange where someone could commute to New York. And, we got the Midtown Direct right here in Maplewood, and then that takes them right to the NYC. Upper Vailsburg section makes sense.
I love Upper Vailsburg, and Weequahic section is another section that, I tell my people all the time, it's a street by street basis, but
definitely a street by street basis.
You know what I'm saying? Like, as you get closer to Hillside, the homes and like the curb appeal,
the
like
density,
all brighten,
and the density. Over there in the Weequahic section, it doesn't look like, as you get closer to like the Hillside, like when you're on, I think that's Maple, and in between Maple and Elizabeth Ave, those blocks like here, Brumman and all of those streets, they look like the houses look crazy, right? You take these houses, you put them in a place like South Orange, you're probably talking like a $700,000, $800,000 house.
Easy.
It's a great buy. Yeah, absolutely. So if you're down there, it's a great buy because you're going to have a really nice house and your upside will be there. It might not be there right now, but for the simple fact that I know the city of Newark, they are going to put a pass train down in that Weequahic section, and that's going to be going right downtown Newark, and that's going to take people right to the city. So it might not be the most opportune place in your eyes at this moment, but I'll tell you within the next 2-3 years, it definitely will. It definitely will be the spot for a fact. And you can start seeing a little bubble. I don't know if of course, I don't even have to say that. You'll see a lot more investors from New York. They're starting to go down there and pick up the multifamilies because they know that's going to be where more people are going to want to be because of that direct train line.
And you took the next topic like right out of my mouth when we started talking about the Weequahic section, because yes, like that's that was the big news that came out. I think that was last year, but that was the big news that came out last year that the pathways, or they had just approved the plans for the path station to extend, and I believe it's even coming from Newark Airport, if I'm correct, or there's going to be some type of connection. And that
connection, there might be a shuttle. There should be a shuttle from Newark Airport to there. To begin with, and I think then there have further plans to develop like maybe a path or some way, some type of train line to go from there, from the Newark Airport to the one by the old Seth Gordon projects, because that's where they're going to run that train line.
And I wonder what's going to happen with those. Okay.
So they're going to knock those down. Most of those will probably be knocked down and redeveloped. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some type of building going up there, a luxury unit going up somewhere in that area pretty soon, for sure. Because, it's a bunch of abandoned buildings in that area, and it's an industrial area, but I think they have a bigger plan for that area anyway.
So right off the bat, I mean, if anybody's listening, Weequahic, go catch it, go after it. And, the one things that I like about, because East Orange and Newark, you'll find they'll find similar home values depending on where you're at. The only issue, and you probably know what I'm going to say about it, but the only issue that I have with East Orange, and I was born and raised East Orange for 25 years of life, and the only issue that I have is just the taxes. But, with the rent, you're able to compensate for that, because at least for East Orange, you're able to get higher rent for your unit. So I had somebody else tell me the other day on Facebook, like, don't go after East Orange because those taxes are a dud. And I was like, okay,
crazy.
No problem. More for us. You can stay on the side.
Yeah, exactly.
I will be there.
Exactly.
Right.
East Orange is the next hottest city. Like, it's all the young urbanites are moving to East Orange from New York, from the Brooklyns. Like, I don't know how many families I moved from Brooklyn to East Orange. I'm talking about minority families. And they're loving it because it gives them that ability to live in a place where, they're not accustomed to having like a backyard. Right. They're so used to having like an apartment. So now they have a backyard, they have parks, they're able to move around, they're comfortable, and they still have the ability to go back home and check everything out within 20 minutes. They're back in the city in 20 minutes. Are you kidding me? Where else are you going to find that?
Right.
Then you have like the 5-year development plan for East Orange. It's going to be crazy. What's going to happen on Main Street and Central Avenue? That people are not going to even be able to you're not going to be able to tell that this was East Orange at one point in time. You have big banks investing tons of money into this city. They're literally pouring money into the development of the city because they know that it's a transit hub. Any place that has a train that goes directly into the city, let's look at Jersey City. Let's look at Hoboken. Let's look at Kearney. Let's look at Harrison. They're along that same train line, so the fire doesn't stop, it keeps going. So it's just a matter of time before East Orange catches all the way on fire. So regardless of the taxes, we'll have the ratables because more and more businesses, as you know, the population grows and as the median income grows, more and more businesses are going to seek East Orange. So the ratables will end up going up. There'll be more businesses that's going to be able to add to the tax bank. And then after that, they'll kind of reassess the taxes and possibly the taxes go lower. But you just need, in order for the taxes to be low, you have to have ratables. You have to have corporations paying big taxes so it can lessen the burden on the typical homeowners.
Awesome insight to, and just taxes in general, just awesome insight to that. But so for someone, right, because we have these areas and some of the times individuals, either newbie investors or, for the real investors, they're like, Newark, I'm all in there. East Orange, I'm all in there. For, the newbie investor who is just getting started, doesn't want, their first multifamily purchase to go haywire with tenants. Like that's some of the things that kind of hold them back. And specifically when I'm talking about Newark, I have this overwhelming desire to start attacking the South Ward, multifamily wise.
Yeah.
However,
yeah, absolutely.
However,
you're going to have competition though. You're going to have competition. People will start it.
And I feel like for the most part, and this is just me thinking off the top of my head, for the most part, because I'm thinking about the other wards, for the most part, South Ward is probably your cheapest on a grand scale.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. South Ward and the West Ward. And the West Ward just be like the South Streets.
Right. Do you recommend, or for a flip or for a rehab, obviously it's game on, because somebody, a retail buyer is going to purchase that. For, in certain areas, and as long as everything else measures up as far as marketing purposes. But for someone who's looking to maybe buy something, fix it up, and rent it out, do you recommend the South Ward as somewhere that is rental heavy? And I'm talking about on your South Streets, because what people tell us, and this is, on the agent side, I don't want anything that's a numbered street. We've getting that all the time.
Yeah.
What do you say to people when they say, I don't want anything on the numbered streets?
The numbered streets is again, it's kind of like area specific because you have certain streets like South 17, South 18, South 19. That's better than the South 10th, South 11, South 12, South 13. Or you can divvy it up like, okay, we have the Central Ward of the South Streets, and then you have the West Ward of the South Street. The least desirable of the South Street is more so the West Ward, right? Because that's the South Streets like South 8th, South 7th, South 12th, South 13th off of South Orange Ave. Those are the ones that have, like, those are the ones that's been abandoned for like 7, 8, 9, 10 years. They got hit the most because people were just bankrolling those, getting mortgages, never living in them. Just, that's where a lot of that stuff happened at. So hence why, that's one of the areas that's more so, I want to say, it's the area that's least desirable because it needs the most work. As far as I wouldn't tell you to go ahead and invest in that area, no. But in the South, I've seen, like for example, I own something on South 17th, fully renovated. I dumped about like 180, 190,000 into it. And I'm okay with that. Like, and it's worth my comps look good because it's a 333. It's a big 3 family. My comps are good. So I'm comfortable with that area, but that's the South 17th side between Springfield Avenue and Avon, which is like closer to Springfield Ave. And that's where, they got a lot of stuff planned for that area. So when I'm investing, I usually go by like what the community plan is, like what's going on in the community. I speak to the councilman, like, all right, what new business is going to happen? All right, if there's nothing within the next 5-6 years, I'm very cautious about investing there, especially in something like, I don't want to kill any streets, but like around the South Orange Ave area, like the West Ward, it's very difficult to invest in that area because you don't really see any like change. You don't see a projection of change. So that's why I kind of, stay away from those South streets. But, you still have the upside on the other side of the South Street. So again, it's more so area specific. You got to really know your market and know your area before you invest, to make a long story short. Sorry for being so long-winded with that answer.
I want it all. Like, the more content, the better. And the stuff that, your analysis and how you're putting things together is gold for the audience. So, I'm hoping that they pick up on that. To tie everything in, before we, start our descent, and we'll do it on we'll do it on Newark and we'll do it on East Orange, but Newark, in my eyes, or at least, for if people were asking me, real generic, what are the better areas in Newark? I understand what question that they're asking, because easily, certain parts of the South Ward, depending on how you're asking the question, certain parts of the South Ward, like, you can make a killing off of. But I realize I realize the underlying question that people are asking. So I usually, with a real kind of basic response, just to not hold myself liable for any decisions that they might make. Upper Vailsburg, Forest Hills, Weekway. Obviously, if you can get a 4-family downtown, no problem. You know what I mean? Like downtown, anything in downtown, all yours. Anything in the Ironbound, all yours. If you can do it, absolutely. But when you have 4 families that are going for 600 or 700 in the Ironbound, then that's one. That's another situation. So for the most part, those are the best areas on a layman's terms. When you're just looking from that 50,000 foot view, those are the simple to come by best areas for you to go after. Is that safe to say?
Absolutely, that's safe to say. I would say, like, you're safe in the Weekway section. If the area that we spoke about, as far as like the closer to Hillside, you're super safe there. The Vailsburg section, Upper Vailsburg, you're definitely safe there. Like you said, if you could find something in the Ironbound, good luck. Ironbound, where you have 3 families popping out at almost 500,000. But hey, listen, who am I to judge?
Exactly. And okay, so for Newark, and obviously you have your other areas throughout Newark that just do a little bit of analysis. If you're a beginner investor, kind of take the due diligence that you need. If you're an experienced investor, then obviously you know how to attack it, run your analysis the same way that you did to make an investment decision. On East Orange, I should say, I feel, I actually feel for the most part that, and I might just be biased because I live there, that East Orange has a lot more favorable, like it's easier to go after something in East Orange area-wise than it would Newark. Like if I'm thinking about East Orange, the only real place is, like off of William Street, the lower end of Park Ave for the most part, like 4th Ave, those particular areas, but I do know that they're having that redevelopment area, which is next to the East Orange train station, I believe.
Yep. Okay. We have a couple of properties down there. East Orange, I'll tell you, East Orange is going to be one of the cities where people are going to be like, damn, I wish I got in while I could. It just has so much opportunity there, like from the politics all the way down to the people, right? It's a great community. It has a lot of like history behind it. It's a rich community. I see that being like the next Harlem. Like I know people say Newark is the next Harlem. I'm not sure. I think East Orange is really going to be the next Harlem, where people are going to be walking around like, because we have the infrastructure for it, right? We have the people for it. So it's just about getting the numbers to make sense. We're turning around a lot of the houses that are vacant, as you know, as you just mentioned as well. The redevelopment is happening, so that's gonna take off pretty soon, because we're going to be putting we put 19 houses back together, so that's going to be out in the market. I'm telling you, like in the Greenwood section where people are like, I don't want this, I don't want that. Well, you're starting to see houses moving in Greenwood section for $300,000.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? 260, 270, where the comps were a year ago, 70,000, 80,000. You know, and it's not like the numbers are inflated. Those are outside of the regular market inflation. Let me correct myself. So it is a little bit inflated, but that's just the market that's a little inflated. But those, like, because it has the square footage, we have everything that you need for it to make sense. You know, these are homeowners that we're putting in these houses. It's not like they're fake mortgages or anything. Like, these are real people that's invested in the community, that believes in it. We just need to get more of our people to really believe in our communities. That's the problem. Like, we got a lot of outsiders coming in and they believe in what we got, but we don't believe in what we got. You know what I mean? We were born and raised in these cities, and we don't believe in them. We'd rather move to a different place, go to Hoboken, go to Jersey City, go to New York, Manhattan, whatever the case may be. When we got our own Manhattan, we got our own Hoboken, we got our own Secaucus. We don't need those places. We need to build what we have.
And that's why,
versus letting somebody build it for us.
And that's what, like, that's another reason why I have this podcast. Like, it just sheds the light, right? Like Kendrick said it the best. You know, do what you do, and then, you know, learn from those that are doing it, and then bring it back to the turf and give it right back. You know what I'm saying? So it's you know, that's exactly, like, you know, that is one of the essence why, you know, I put this podcast together, because the stuff that, you know, and I'm only in real estate, you know, for about 3 years, but, you know, and which is why I've started writing articles and things like that, because after the first year, or not even, like, just 6 months being into the business, and I've never seen so much money move back and forth at a snap of a finger with no problem. And I'm like, yo, I got to tell people about this. Like, so, and then as you keep seeing people do things, as you participate in your own flips, when you start buying property, when you start helping investors buy property, when you start helping, you know, I'm offloading a 10-unit building right now, and, you know, it's...
You didn't even hit me. You didn't even hit me on that building. That's what's up, man.
I didn't. And that's totally my fault. And I was trying to find out how to buy it myself. And I was like, all right, I gotta unload this thing. But in retrospect, that actually might have been before I actually met you. So I might get a pass on that one. Okay. But if not, I owe you one for sure. But you know, all that to say, when I think there was, you know, I was happy to unload it, right? Because I'm getting a check out of it. No problem. And then I serviced everybody, the buyer, the seller, like I bought, you know, a happy union. However, there was a little part that bothered me, in total transparency, because I headed down to the city of Newark to get the certificate of occupancy. And, you know, I'm handing in documents, and I hand in the document that has the particular buyer's license on it, and a Hasidic Jew. And the seller...
What do they know about our community?
They culturally...
You know, we need to really start putting community partners into play, like people that really know about our community, people that's going to care about the kids that's at their doorstep, or the person that's going to pick up the trash that's in front of their door, or the person that's actually going to you know, go to the meetings, go to the neighborhood watch meetings, or the person that's actually going to sit there and speak to the counseling and voice their opinions to the counseling, because they hold about, you know, $30,000, $40,000 in the tax dollars. So they're going to listen to that person You know what I'm saying? So we gotta be strategic in what we're doing. Like we gotta be strategic. We gotta understand. We gotta see like I understand there's a check, right? But what are you doing for that check? Are you selling your soul for the check? Or are you or can you hold back a little bit longer? You can still make money, because I've never tell anybody not to make money, because you gotta make money in order to feed your family. But you gotta prioritize. Like, look, let me do this for the community. Let me do this for my people. Let me do this for my family versus like, let me just do this for the check.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's,
And and like I said, me and my fiance, we were trying to figure out ways to buy it, put it together.
yeah.
And we, numbers wise, and I was kind of a rookie at putting like the finance together. Number wise,
No, I'm not blaming you. I'm not even blaming you. Like I understand it, bro. There's deals that I let go.
But it's interesting because, as you pointed out, right? Well, in this, it's simple because in this particular transaction, it was like, I had just wound up reaching out to somebody like, hey, listen, do you have an investor that can take down a project like this? And he referred me to somebody, and they started putting the deal together. And, so it was cool to ask me. But I can see perfectly, exactly what you said, because for his sake, all he knows is that, culturally, historically, ethically, not part of it, right? He just knows that Newark is hot. My numbers and the way that I see it, if my numbers work, I'm pulling the trigger. You know what I'm saying? And no, there's that's it. Does the deal make sense for me in the long run? And you're absolutely right. Like, in this particular transaction, while it wasn't like, it's not greed or anything like that, but when this happens, it's one thing when, if I were to sell 10 unit buildings and nine of them are black owners, black developers, and then you send one off and your client just happens to be Jewish. But when it's the opposite, and when that happens over time, generationally, now you've exponentially increased that gap of education, that gap of knowledge, which now we're currently experiencing. So
absolutely
the boots on the ground is bringing that all back. So that's why even everyone that on my podcast that I bring is black, because I want to put that out there that like, listen, like, that, because when I first started, I'm looking at it, it's like, okay, well, mainly Jewish people are buying. So as far as a buyer, or as far as a client, because you're thinking about like business, like, okay, you're putting the ends together. And then as you start to see more individuals that look like you, speak like you, that are growing their business on the development side, you're able to now expand your sphere. So now at this point, you can do business with more individuals that look like you. So
exactly, and that's what I pride myself on. I pride myself, and also my team. We pride ourselves on that. Like, it's not just about selling a house. It's putting families into homes, building generational wealth, making a difference, changing the norm and making a new norm, creating a new norm. That's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we give everybody the opportunity to become an owner, to become an investor. Forget about all this, we're going to get millions and millions of dollars. No, it's not about that. We're going to teach you the basics. This is what you need to do. This is how you need to grow. You do it. We're not going to try to put you, if you could afford a $4,000 mortgage, but you only want to spend $25,000, we're not going to push you all the way up to the $4,000, because we want to make sure that you still have money to live comfortably. And if something goes wrong, you'll still be able to live. The thing is, we got other people, and especially our people, what they do is they go to other races, I should say, and they look to them for help. How can you do that when you got people of your same profession doing the same thing that you're doing, knowing exactly what you went through? You need to go through them. They'll have a better understanding. They'll care a little bit more for you than the other person would. So, you know what I mean? It's kind of like that dynamic that needs to change in both places. You got our own people that don't want to work with us. They don't want to work with us. They want to go work with somebody else.
Or they'll ask you for a discount. And it's like, I don't understand how y'all can go anywhere else, pay top dollar to get, whatever that you're getting. And then the moment that you come through, it's like, can I get a discount? Can I get a hookup? And,
Bro,
it's like,
Louis doesn't give discounts. Gucci doesn't give discounts, bro. That's what I'm sticking to. You can't go to a Maserati and ask for a discount. You can't go to a Bentley dealership and ask for a discount. So view me just like you view them.
oh man, we're gonna have to start wrapping up, but it's I could keep this going.
It's okay.
I mean, I could keep it going on forever, and I'm just gonna have to trim it because I want, I try to fit the
Yeah,
bulk
yeah,
of
yeah.
the content within, somebody's commute. But I mean, everything that we're talking about, it's gold, and it needs to be heard. So, real quick, but before we start, before I go into the core four, which are the four questions that I ask each and every guest on the Austin Smith Real Estate Podcast, how are you finding deals? Give peel back the curtain a little bit. Obviously, never
I'm
reveal
knocking.
everything.
Me, honest,
Yeah,
no.
how are you
Honestly
finding deals?
speaking, I'm knocking on doors. And I'm reaching out to my sphere of influence, my circle. I'm knocking on doors, reaching out to my circle. There are other avenues that come in from time to time. Like I'll jump in an auction from time to time, or I reach out to a wholesaler from time to time. But I'm really boots on the ground getting money. That's how I am. I'm really boots on the ground making deals. Like I think that I could never digress from that. I need to continuously make the deals happen. I don't want to become complacent and find one way to get it. I just want to be able to get it and get great deals. And I want to be the one working behind the deal.
I was part of the other. I love that, but part of the other question I was going to ask is what's next for you? What's kind of the what is the future hold for what you're trying to do professionally? But I know when we talked before, you want to you not just leave a legacy, right? Because we're all working towards that. But
Man.
You were able to put it on a physical aspect of it, and I remember we were talking, and you're on the next wave of the developers that are building the big sky rises, the big tall buildings,
Yes, yes,
the hundreds
yes.
of million
You want
dollar deals. That's what's next for you.
Absolutely. I want my son to drive by and say, look, my dad put that building together. You know what I'm saying? I want people to drive by 100 years, 200 years later and say, wow, yeah, they'll have like a stone in that building that says, my company name or my organization's name or whoever, but I just want to be a part of it. I literally just want to set a footprint for someone else to follow. You know what I'm saying? That can never be changed.
Love
That's
it.
what I want to do.
Going into the core four before we wrap up. These are the four questions just for individuals to get an idea of, who you are outside of real estate a little bit. Question
Yep.
number one. What is your favorite aspect about real estate?
It's the fact that you can really make someone's dream come true, and you can do it. You're orchestrating someone's dream. I love that. I love that part. Like I just love the satisfaction of satisfying people and something that they thought that they would never be able to accomplish. I love that part of it.
Awesome. It's yeah. And when I first started real estate, I was like, this will be a good paying job, or this will be a good paying business. I can make a lot of money. And it wasn't until I actually started putting deals together that the satisfaction comes from putting the deal together. Like,
Deal
not like
together.
what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like just even for like a NACA client where it's like, when that in a multiple bid situation, you are going into a war with a pistol when you have a NACA
Yep.
pre-approval. And
Yes,
just
sir.
becoming creative to find out how to get it done. Like that's the fun part. It's not always fun when you have to like let your clients know the truth, but it's fun when you actually come out victorious and you're able to put what seemingly was not able to be possible and then creating an opportunity and putting a deal together. That shit is awesome. All right. Question number two. Your favorite business or personal development book?
My favorite business personal development book. I want to say so many of them. 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene.
I still have it on my bookshelf, and I have not read it yet.
And they're coming out with a new one. Supposed to drop, I think, tomorrow. I forgot what it's called, though, but a new Robert Greene.
It has to be the 49th law, because they have the 48 Laws of Power. Then 50 came out with his book with
the 50th law. The 50th law with Robert Greene.
And I was looking at it, I was like, well, what the hell happened to the 49th one? But I mean, that was null and void. So I don't know. I'll be sure to check that out. Question number 3: what are some of the fun things that you like to do in your spare time when you're not when you don't have your investor hat on, your realtor hat? What are you doing? What do you do for fun?
I like giving back, man. I really like giving back. I like giving back to the community. I like helping people out. I like to spend time with my family. That's very important to me as well. That's what I do, man. That's what I do to kind of, to take a step back from the day-to-day stuff. Oh, good. No problem. So that's what I do from just to kind of relax. I spend time with my family, spend time with my son, and give back to the community as much as I can, and read.
Love it.
That's it.
Love it. Last question, Irv. Where can people find you at?
Man, October 27th, shameless plug, October 27th, I'll be at Central Park from 11 to 2. Central Park is in Roselle. It's called Central Park of Mr. East. It's definitely come by October 27th from 11 to 2. It's called the Brunch and Budget. We're going to have speakers there. Hopefully this time, Austin, you can really come.
I came to the last one. I came to the very first one.
Oh, you came?
I did, yeah. I sat at your table where your team.
Yes, you're right.
Your team from Caldwell Banker was trying to recruit the kid.
Okay. All right. So I'll take it back. Thank you for coming. I hope to see you there again. But definitely, man, that's where you can find me, or you can find me on social media at Irv Sells Homes, the power broker. Hit me up, man. I'm around, and if you can't get in contact with me, I'll at Austin. Austin can get in contact with me for sure. He's the man. He's the man behind the scenes making it happen.
Just getting started, just getting warmed up, man, so we can do more deals, bro. Irv, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. You dropped gold. We got into some real nitty-gritty conversations. I'm hoping the audience and the listeners got a lot out of it. Thank you so much for taking the time, brother.
Man, thank you, bro. I appreciate it, man. God bless.
Awesome.
All right.